Alrighty, let's go ahead and get started with the Unit 1, Section 3 notes. In this section, we are going to be talking about how to subtract integers. Just to refresh your memory and to review, remember that integers contain negative numbers, 0, as well as positive numbers. They do not include decimals. When we subtract an integer, we are going to add its opposite. So for our first example, let's take 3 minus 7. We're going to add the opposite, so that means we're going to keep 3 the same. We're going to add the opposite of 7, which is negative 7. We then learned how to do this last section. We have two integers with different signs, and we're going to add them. We're going to take the lesser absolute value from the greater absolute value to give us a difference of 4, and keep the sign of the greater absolute value, which in this case is 7, so our answer is negative 4. If we think about this in terms of algebra, we could have a minus b, which simply means a plus the opposite of b, which is negative b. If we look at number 1, let's go ahead and do a few examples together. 5 take away 7. We're going to keep 5 the same and add its opposite. We then know how to do this. We're going to take 5 from 7 to give us a difference of 2. Keep the sign of the greater absolute value, which in this case is negative 7, to give us an answer of negative 2. If you want to think about this visually on a number line, let's go ahead and put 0 here, which means 5 will be over here. We are adding negative 7, or taking away 7. If we take away 7, we take away 5 to get to 0, then we still have 2 more to take away to give us negative 2. Same thing applies to number 2. We're going to add the opposite. So we're going to say 1 plus the opposite of negative 8 is 8. 1 plus 8 is in fact 9. Let's look at number 3. Negative 5 plus the opposite of negative 17 is 17. Negative 5 plus 17 is in fact 12. As 5 from 17 is 12, we keep the sign of the greater absolute value, which is in this case is 17, to give us an answer of positive 12. Looking at number 4, we're going to have 2 plus the opposite of negative 37, which is positive 37. That is simply 2 plus 37, which is in fact 39. Negative 39 plus negative 32 is in fact negative 71. Our signs are the same, so we simply add them. If we look at number 6, we have negative 86 plus the opposite of negative 34, which is 34. Negative 86 plus 34 is in fact negative 52. In our next section, we are going to evaluate expressions where x equals negative 14 and y equals negative 3. Remember, expressions in algebra do not contain an equal sign. So we're simply going to substitute negative 14 wherever we see an x and negative 3 wherever we see a y. So our first example would be negative 14 minus negative 3. Then the same rule applies. Let's add its opposite. Negative 14 plus the opposite of negative 3 is 3, to give us an answer of negative 11. 29 minus x is going to be negative 14. 29 minus negative 14, if we add its opposite, that is 29 plus positive 14, which is in fact 43. Number 3, negative 27 minus negative 3, as we're substituting negative 3 for y. Negative 27 plus the opposite of negative 3 is 3, which in this case we will end up with negative 24. Negative 3 minus 18. Negative 3 plus negative 18. In this case, we end up with negative 21. Negative 14 minus 4, minus 9, negative 14 minus 4, negative 14, plus negative 4, plus negative 9. All of our signs are the same, so we can simply add them. When we have 18 plus 9, we end up with negative 27. Number 6, we're going to continue doing the exact same thing. 15 minus, substitute for y, negative 3 minus 7. 15 plus the opposite of 3, negative 3, excuse me, which is 3 minus 7. We have 18 minus 7, which is 11. Alrighty, we're going to continue with a word problem where we are going to add or subtract integers. It says find the change in temperature from negative 47 degrees Celsius to negative 38 degrees Celsius. So if we think about this on a number line, we have negative 47, closer to 0, we have negative 38. We want to find the difference in these two numbers, or how many space is in fact between those numbers. So negative 47 plus what number is going to give us negative 38? The change in temperature should be 9 degrees Celsius. Last but not least, you are asked to write 3 different pairs of integers, each of which has a sum of negative 24. There will be quite a few answers for this one, so I'll let you take a stab at it. Just make sure that you do in fact end up with a sum of negative 24.